Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Monday. This is a new episode of the Right Info Podcast Show with your host, King Twan speaking. Tonight, I would like to speak about rural and urban sociology. What are they and why do they matter? Now, rural sociology and urban sociology are two major subdisciplines of sociology, between which there are some differences. The key difference is that rural sociology, as the term suggests, studies the rural communities, whereas the urban sociology focuses on the metropolis. The rural sociology goes hand in hand with environmental sociology, which studies the agricultural aspects of rural communities. Urban sociology deals with cities, areas, and the subject field, which is highly developed after the Industrial Revolution, which is created afterwards. Now, rural sociology also studies about the migration of people from rural to urban areas, demographic patterns, land policies and issues, environmental concerns, natural resources such as mines, rivers, lakes, etc. Many social issues are included in rural sociology, and most sociologies focus their attention on third world countries, where there are many natural resources as well as social issues. This is very important for everybody to know. If you're living in a city or if you're living in the country and you want to study something like that, it's best to go into it and look into it and see how that goes about. Somebody from the city might want to learn about the rural areas. Somebody from the rural areas might want to learn about the city. That's good because one can learn from the other, and who knows? A city person can live in the country, see how they live, or a rural person can live in the city, or a city person, how they go. Well, I guess you all know what I mean when I explain that. So, a city living in rural, a rural living in a city. That's all. Now, urban sociology also deals with the studies of social issues that arise in big cities. This discipline studies the problems, changes, patterns, structures, and processes of urban areas, and it also tries to help with planning and policy making of urban areas. It is necessary to understand and the changes, you know, issues and the effects of developmental processes towards the society as well as towards the individual. Urban sociologists and statistically methods, interviews, observations, and other research methods to conduct their studies. Urban sociologists also focus on values and ethics, economics, poverty, race issues, and health situations. People who live in the rural areas, they like to learn about city life, and people who live in the city like to read about urban life, and that's good. And what is learned from this is, suppose you're from the city and you just happen to move into a rural area or move into a farm area. You like to know, what's the fastest place to get there? How are things done here? Is this place really full of farmers and what for? And do they really go by a certain clock when they wake up in the morning? They do their daily work or chores or whatever. Or a rural person might move to the city and see like, wow, look at all these lights and look at all these big buildings and all this stuff going on in the street, people traveling and all. And that's good. And people want to try to experience new things, whether you're in a rural area or the city area. And that's fine. As long as you know where you're going, or if you're meeting with somebody, make sure you know who you're meeting with. You never know who you're going to be meeting with. And, just be careful. Just take it slow. Do a thorough examination or study of each other. Rural or city to rural. Get to know each other. Get to understand each other. Feel them out. See what goes on. If things go good, that's great. If not, then you might want to rethink doing that, carrying on the idea of whatever. So as being said, this is the information that I want to give people on the idea of urban areas and city and rural areas. Rural areas. I apologize. I'm just sitting here just doing this podcast here, relaxing, letting you all know what's going on in the world, the differences or whatever between rural and city situations. And with that being said, this is the conclusion of this podcast, the Right Info Podcast Show. I just want to give the audience a full throttle idea of the differences between rural and city wealth, growth, success, failure, whatever. You're old enough to go and see that for yourself. If you're not old enough, at least ask your parents to bring you to the library or whatever, and they'll show you how it goes, how things are, you know, how rural people are different from urban people. And sometimes one washes the other hand, and the other one washes that person's hands, and things get done. And with that being said, this is the end of the Right Info podcast show. I just want to give everybody a clear cut idea of what urban and rural financial situations are, their differences, their similarities. And with that being said, I'm going to wish you all a joyful good night. Happy Monday. And those who I didn't speak to, I didn't really do a podcast on the first. So, because I was enjoying the first, I was celebrating the first. I wish everybody a happy new year. Hope everything goes good. You all take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. And take care.